about those meetings on our project website, which will also be on a slide during the presentation. So welcome. I see more people are coming. So I'm going to hand it over to Eric Yukovich from Raymond Associates to kick off the formal part of the meeting, and thank you again for attending.
Thanks, Michelle, and good evening, everyone. My name is Eric Yukovich. I'm a principal at Raymond Associates. We're joined this evening, as Michelle said, by many members of our consultant team and city staff who are really here to meet you and talk to you about the specific plan and draft environmental impact report. But before we get to the main agenda for this evening, we wanted to go over a few Zoom logistics. Next slide. So you may join the Zoom audio channel either through a computer, another device, or your phone. You can click on those in the left-hand corner of your screen. A closed caption transcript is also available while you're in this main room. You can see it circled on your screen with the large CC. Next slide. We ask that once you do connect your audio, that you please mute yourself and keep yourself muted until we get to the breakout rooms this evening. You'll have an opportunity to ask questions, share comments with the specific plan and environmental impact report team at that time. But during the presentation, we ask that you keep yourself muted. Next slide. So you can turn your video on and off. You can do that by hitting the start button for the video on the left-hand side of your bottom left-hand side of your screen. Once we get into breakout rooms, we will encourage you to turn on your video if you feel comfortable doing so. Next slide. And so last slide on this, sort of the Zoom logistics. After our presentation and after we move into the breakout rooms, you'll have an opportunity to talk with your peers and with the facilitators and city staff who are here this evening. If you have a question for your room facilitator or a comment, you want to raise your virtual hand. You can raise your physical hand as well, depending on the number of folks who are in the room. For people who are calling in and who aren't in the Zoom, you can do that by pressing *9. Again, otherwise, we ask you to keep yourself muted, sort of to avoid background noise. And then we'll do our best to respond to questions and comments during the breakout rooms. But we can also save the chat transcripts from that time and capture any comments or questions that you have in the breakout rooms that way as well. All right, so next slide. So tonight, as Michelle said, really kicks off a series of meetings on the public review draft specific plan and environmental impact report. This community meeting is really to hear from you about the specific plan and draft EIR. We'll provide you with an overview of the planning process, review the vision, guiding principles, and major strategies within the specific plan, and review the process and findings of the draft environmental impact report. We'll then provide you with an opportunity to meet our team and ask questions and leave comments on the specific plan and EIR. We also wanted to note that the intent of this meeting is to allow all community members to ask questions and leave a comment on the plan and EIR. This meeting isn't really intended for our team to answer very specific questions about your property and how the development standards relate to it, but it's really to be inclusive of all members of the community so people can really understand the plan, ask questions, and leave comments at that higher level. Next slide. So with that in mind, we're wrapping up our welcome and our meeting Zoom logistics this evening. Chris Sensenig from Raymond Associates will lead you through a quick demographic poll to really help us understand who is participating this evening, as we've done throughout the specific planning process. He'll then go through an overview presentation on the specific plan. He'll pass the baton to Amber Sharp from David J. Powers and Associates, who will provide an overview on the draft environmental impact report. She'll hand it back to me, and I'll let you know about upcoming meetings, how to provide comments through comment letters to the city, and then give you an overview of those virtual breakout rooms. We'll then have about an hour in those breakout rooms, and this portion of the meeting is really designed to be like an in-person open house where you can circulate from room to room or station to station at your own pace and your own leisure. We'll come back to the main room at the conclusion of that, and then we'll wrap up for the evening. So with that kind of broad overview and framing for this evening, I'm going to hand it back over to Chris, who will start the demographic polling.
Great, thank you, Eric. Thank you, Michelle. So we're going to do a little Menti polling to figure out who's here and how you got here. So if you can please, either on your phone or another browser window, please go to menti.com, menti.com. And if you type in the 8-digit code as you see on the screen, 81510266, we'll get to the live polling. Okay. All right, we'll start here with the first question. How did you hear about this event? So please select all that apply. Just gonna let it populate here. Looks like email is the most effective form of communication. All right, thank you. Moving on to the next question. What is your age bracket? Right. Thank you. And moving on, we would like to know how you would describe yourself. You can choose more than one for this question. For any of those just joining, we're at menti.com using the code at the top of the screen, just asking a few demographic questions to make sure we're reaching this community. All right, next question. Do you live in Sunnyvale? And if not, where? Right. And last question here, where do you work? If you work, you do not work, there are two answers there at the back end. All right, thank you for your time on those questions. We're now going to go back to the presentation. Okay, welcome everyone. I'm going to start with a high overview of the process for the specific plan to date, and then go over the specific plan in general. So just to remind everyone, in 2019, the Planning Commission and City Council gave the following direction to staff to update the Moffett Park specific plan. And then in the fall of 2019, the RNA team started work on the update with an existing conditions report. We did a number of technical studies and a SWOT analysis. And then over the last 3 years, the team has worked with staff and city council to develop land use alternatives, a land use map, and development intensity to study in the environmental impact report and to write into the plan. We've developed policy statements and developed standards that will guide the future growth in Moffett Park, and all of these are included in the draft specific plan. The process included the following reports, including groundwater studies, sea level rise and adaptation strategies, a background on that, air quality and acoustics assessments, urban ecology reports. And the plan also integrated involvement with city departments, stakeholders, and regional agencies, as you see on the right. The community process started in 2020 with the launch of the website and an in-person kickoff meeting, a visioning survey, and an education video series called Understanding the Future. The results of the survey and the Understanding the Future of Moffett Park series is still available on our website. Over the course of the last 3 years, the team conducted 15 public meetings, including 7 3-hour topic-specific workshops with the community and city council. The team took the feedback from these meetings to develop the plan policies and development standards of the specific plan. The specific plan is organized into 10 chapters. Today, we are going to give a high-level overview of the plan by focusing on chapter 1, the vision and guiding principles, and also chapter 3, major plan strategies, starting with the vision and guiding principles. Through the guidance from City Council and conversations with the community stakeholders in the city, here's the summary statement for the plan, to a specific plan as an ecological and innovation district. Moffett Park is an integral part of Sunnyvale and is a well-connected ecological innovation district with a diverse mix of uses that serves as a model of resilience, climate protection, equity, and economic opportunity. So a little what is an innovation district here? So Bruce Katz and Julie Wagner in a report from the Brookings Institute defines an innovation district as being an area that includes a leading ledge anchor institution or company. We have multiple of those in Moffett Park, so check. And an area that includes startups, business incubators, is physically compact, transit accessible, and offers a mixed use environment that includes housing, offices, and retail services. It is the intersection of economic, physical, and networking assets. Basically, it's the room where it happens. Eco districts are defined as not only a place, but also a strategy. It includes a holistic approach to accelerate sustainable development at a neighborhood scale. That means thinking at a district scale to integrate placemaking, building design, and infrastructure strategies to create a sustainable neighborhood and community. The following guiding principles have driven the policies and development standards included in the plan. They include that Moffett Park should be an integral part of Sunnyvale. The plan shall commit to addressing resilience, climate protection, and equity. Moffett Park should be a vibrant and inclusive place where people can thrive. The plan should ensure a diverse economic engine, not just large corporations. The plan should prioritize movement of people over vehicles to meet climate goals and create a healthy community. Spaces shall be dynamic and connected, and the plan should environment. And the plan should also integrate innovative and emerging technologies. The vision and guiding principles build on the successes in Moffett Park, but it is a large endeavor and one that will take time and commitment. But it is one that we believe is possible. The big goal in the big list is to transform Moffett Park from a suburban office park into a place for people, opportunity, and nature. Here is Moffett Park today, an evolving place, but largely a single-use district with disconnected buildings surrounded by surface parking lots. And here is one possible future for Moffett Park, an integrated, walkable, mixed-use community connected by new open space and street networks. Chapter 3 outlines 9 major plan strategies for Moffett Park. I'm going to walk you through them in a moment here. But first, I would like to acknowledge that the plan builds on the past successes of Moffett Park. It is already a place of business innovation, high technology, and elite manufacturing. The plan will build on a strong tradition of small businesses, continue the progress on creating a multimodal transportation network, and build on and connect to local and regional open spaces that surround the plan area. The first major strategy is advancing equitable development. The plan area responds to the local context of Moffett, Park, Sunnyvale, and the Bay Area. The process of developing the plan has included authentic engagement, including 15 public meetings. The plan's goal is to advance economic opportunity for all and include strategies to allow opportunities for smaller companies and support for neighborhood serving businesses. This includes standards that locate a minimum amount of ground floor retail in the activity centers, minimum sizes to ensure spaces for grocery stores and pharmacies, and a creation and innovation space requirement. The plan also implements the city's affordable housing ordinance that will ensure that 15% of all units will be affordable, and that could total up to 3,000 affordable units. The plan at its core is about creating a walkable community with an integrated mobility network to make sure people can get in and around Moffett Park without the use of a personal vehicle. The plan addresses climate resilience in a multi-purpose and integrated design strategies. That includes Sunnyvale's participation in the shoreline resilience vision, working with Valley Water on solutions for the East and West Channel that integrate with open spaces, urban ecology, and adjacent neighborhoods. Reducing the heat island effect with stringent design standards that include green roofs and aggressive goal for canopy cover across the plan area. The plan also takes an integrated approach to fostering urban ecology and creating a connected, diverse, and robust network of open spaces. The overall plan is estimated at a combined open space total of over 210 acres. That is over a sixth of the overall land area in the plan. At the heart of the open space planning is urban ecology and the creation of habitat spaces focused on native species. The plan includes 3 biodiversity hubs, which are high quality native habitat spaces over 10 acres in size, 5 habitat patches, which are similar to the biodiversity hubs, but smaller in size at about 2 acres. The spaces are linked with ecological greenbelt corridors. And in addition to these spaces, there are standards for bird safe design, green productive roofscapes, and very high canopy coverage for the urban forest. A major piece of urban ecology in the plan is the biodiversity hub north of First Avenue. The plan here establishes an ecological combining district, which restricts areas for redevelopment adjacent to the Lockheed Martin stormwater ponds. Any new development will be restricted to the purple areas shown on this map, and previously developed areas will be transformed into open spaces. The ecological combining district will include terrestrial buffers to sensitive habitats, ensure that the space is designed by qualified restoration ecologists to ensure that the design is consistent with the best practices for ecological habitat restoration, and also create new open spaces along its periphery. The parks and open spaces will include a mix of public and publicly accessible, privately held open spaces. The space will include a variety of place types and sizes, from large community parks that serve the district and city as a whole, to smaller neighborhood parks and mini parks and plazas. The open spaces in the plan will bring people together and create community. The open spaces are distributed throughout the plan area to create a walkable community with open spaces within a short distance to all residents and employees. Here you can see everything coming together. Community parks are identified in purple, neighborhood parks in pinks, biodiversity hubs in green, and the mini parks and plazas in orange. The plan facilitates diverse housing and economic development by creating new mixed use and residential neighborhoods. This plan is organized around vibrant and dense activity centers, as you can see identified here. The major activity centers are located at Borregas and at the intersections of Borregas and Java, and also between Crossman and Orleans. In addition to the major activity centers, the plan envisions small neighborhood corner scaled activity centers that will be the center of activity for each neighborhood. Overall, the plan creates an opportunity for up to 32 million square feet of office. That's 10 million net new over the existing and approved development. The plan complements this with about 500,000 square feet of neighborhood serving commercial spaces and builds on the existing hospitality uses and adds new institutional uses. And maybe most important of all, it creates a truly mixed use and walkable community by adding up to 20,000 new homes, with 15% of them required to be affordable. The plan organizes these uses in 6 neighborhoods. The neighborhood organization does the following. 1, it ensures complete walkable communities throughout the district. 2, it focuses development near activity centers, places to live, and transit. And 3rd, it ensures a competitive office pool that is distributed across the plan and not concentrated into signal use districts. The goal of this strategy is to create complete neighborhoods where most, if not all, of your daily needs are within a 5 to 15-minute walk or a short bike ride. This concept is essential to transforming Moffett Park into a livable community. All right, to create the interconnected network of open spaces, activity centers, and complete neighborhoods, the plan establishes a few key landmarks that span across the plan area through and over private parcels. These landmarks help build the community identity of Moffett Park as an ecological innovation district. They include the creation of the mixed-use activity centers and connects them through the Caspian Community Park and promenade that runs across the plan area north of Java. The diagonal connects neighborhoods south of Java with a pedestrian and bike connection that links Matilda Avenue to Crossman Activity Center and beyond to Baylands Park. The east and west channels become key connectors in the north-south direction. And VTA services are reimagined along the Java transit spine, providing high quality and high frequency transit to the core of the plan area. Here you can see how the diagonal will cut across properties and create a strong visual and physical connection from one end of the plan area to the other. It's a new link, a new place, and a new connection. On the north side of Java, the Caspian Promenade will connect the ecological combining district to Baylands Park, linking the 2 activity centers. The space will be a combination of different public and private open spaces, including a new community park between Borregas Avenue and Geneva Drive. The open spaces extend from the Caspian Community Park outward across the plan area. To make all these great things work, the plan also requires rethinking our relationship with single occupancy vehicles. Moffett Park uses multimodal strategies and district-wide policy to redesign the plan area around people rather than vehicles. When the needs of the people are considered first, streets are designed to promote a safe and comfortable mobility network for all individuals, regardless of which mobility option they use. To prioritize active mobility, the plan creates a walkable block structure, breaking up large private parcels with new streets and laneways. Here you can see the street hierarchy with Java, Caribbean, and Matilda acting as the major anchor streets, crosstown connectors that link these streets, and then neighborhood streets and laneways that make up the walkable urban grid. Layered into the new streets, laneways, and open spaces is an integrated bike and pedestrian network. These include some major improvements that are being studied by the city, including the Mary Avenue crossing, new connections across the east and west channel, and new and improved connections across 237. To make this shift, it's not just about how we design the street and open space network. Changes need to be made in how we think about parking and how we build our transit demand management programs. To accommodate future growth and establish Moffett Park as a model community of climate protection, a substantial mode shift away from single occupancy vehicles trips is needed to reduce congestion, ensure multimodal access at the district gateways, and meet local and regional ambitions to improve climate and environmental outcomes. Transportation demand management, often called TDM, and parking management strategies aim to reduce single occupancy vehicle travel, minimize daily vehicle trips, and shift trips to transit, biking, walking, scooting, or rideshare. These strategies include a great shift in parking policy. The plan implements a park once strategy. So those who do drive to Moffett Park will park their car and then walk, bike, scoot, or take transit to the variety of destinations within Moffett Park. The plan also provides opportunities to reduce the amount of parking in the district through shared parking facilities and instituting parking maximums that will limit the overall number of vehicles in the district. The plan also understands that these changes will happen over time and takes a phased approach to these strategies. Key to all of this is rethinking the transit network. And part of that includes rethinking the VTA network to utilize the full length of Java and Matilda in the plan area, providing better and more consistent bus access across the plan. The plan also envisions an internal circulator that will transport people throughout the plan area, linking employment areas in the west to activity centers in the east. Together, these major strategies create a new future for Moffett Park, an ecological innovation district that is well connected with a diverse mix of uses that serves as a model of resilience, climate protection, equity, and economic opportunity. And with that, I will turn the presentation over to Amber to give an overview of the draft environmental impact report.
Okay, thank you. So as Chris mentioned, my name is Amber Sharp, and I am a project manager at David J. Powers and Associates, and our firm assisted the city with the preparation of the draft environmental impact report, which I'll be referring to as EIR for the specific plan. I'll be discussing the purpose of the EIR process, and topics covered in the EIR. Next slide. The purpose of the EIR is to inform decision makers and the public about project impacts and identify ways to mitigate or avoid impacts. The EIR also evaluates a range of feasible alternatives that meet most of the project objectives and that would avoid or substantially lessen the environmental effects of the project. Also note that the purpose of the EIR is to describe the environmental effects of a project, but it's not a document that advocates for approval or denial of the project. The draft EIR process includes the following 5 required steps. The first step is the circulation of the Notice of Preparation, or NOP. The NOP is the notice to the public and agencies that the city is going to prepare an EIR for a project. The NOP for the specific plan circulated for the required 30 days from August 28th, 2021 through September 17th, 2021. The city also held a public scoping meeting on August 26th, 2021 to discuss the project and solicit public input on the scope and content of the EIR. After gathering input of what should be studied in the EIR, research and technical analyses were completed, and the draft EIR was prepared. The city started circulating the draft EIR for public review on December 19th, 2022. The public comment period ends on February 10th, 2023. During the draft public EIR process, the city is also holding 3 additional meetings to hear public comments on the draft EIR, including this evening's open house, a planning commission meeting, and a city council meeting. When the draft EIR public comment period ends, the final EIR, which will include responses to the public comments and draft EIR text revisions, will circulate for 10 days. The final step is holding public hearings to consider the certification of the EIR and consider the approval of the specific plan. The EIR evaluated the specific plan's impact on the topics listed on this slide. The EIR included specific plan policies and requirements to protect the environment and reduce environmental impacts. The specific plan was found to have no impact or a less than significant impact on the topics in regular font. The specific plan was found to have significant and unavoidable impacts on the topics that are bolded and shaded. As shown on this slide, the EIR identified significant and unavoidable impacts related to 3 topics: air quality, greenhouse gas emissions, and utilities and service systems. These impacts are due to operational criteria air pollutant emissions, greenhouse gas emissions, and potential construction impacts from the need to expand the wastewater treatment plant. Based on the significant impacts of the project, the following alternatives were analyzed. The no project, no new development alternative, which assumes Moffett Park would remain as it is today. The no project adopted specific plan build out alternative, which assumes Moffett Park would be built out consistent with the adopted specific plan. And the 25% reduced development alternative, which assumes 25% less development than the proposed specific plan. Thank you, and this concludes our overview of the EIR process, and I'll pass it on to Eric, who will talk about opportunities for engagement and next steps.
Thanks, Amber. Before we initiate the open house portion of the evening, we just wanted to highlight what's up next, and Amber touched on them as well just a few minutes ago, but should go to the next slide. So this month we have a series of upcoming meetings scheduled. We have Planning Commission and City Council meetings over the next 2 weeks in January. The public comment period on both the specific plan and the draft EIR is February 10th, 2023. So what happens after that period? So after that comment period ends, our team will really compile all of the comments from those meetings, as well as any other comment letters received by the city. We'll then start to develop responses to those comments and then move through a series of boards and commission meetings on the specific plan and EIR, with the goal to have council consideration of the plan in spring of this year. Next slide. So in addition to those meetings, you may provide written comments on the draft environmental impact report or specific plan to Michelle King, who introduced herself earlier. She's a principal planner at the city of Sunnyvale. Those comments may be provided by email at mking@sunnyvale.ca.gov, or they may be mailed to the city at the address on the screen now. If you want more information on the planning process or to see these ways to submit your comment letters as well, you can go to the plan website at www.moffettparksp.com. Next. And so now we're going to really transition to the most important part of the meeting tonight, which is the open house, where you can share your thoughts and ideas about the specific plan and EIR with us, you can go ahead to the next slide. So, as I mentioned earlier, we've had a lot of new folks come in so that you can spend as much time on the topics as you prefer. We've created Zoom breakout rooms for those 5 different topics that you can see in rooms 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, as well as the main room. We have about an hour, actually a little over an hour. So during that time, you can spend as much time in any of those rooms as you prefer. And just like an in-person open house, you can vote with your feet and you can move from one room to another at any time.